If you like Reddit-style workplace drama, subscribe for the next parts. Just after 8 a.m., my phone lit up. Compliance flagged a massive client export under my login at 2 in the morning. I am a project manager at a mid-size software company in Denver. Two people shape my days: Lena, our operations director who lives for quarterly bonuses, and Cole, a smooth senior account executive chasing a $1.2 million renewal that could make his year. Val from Human Resources keeps a calm smile until a policy gets spent. My commute is 20 miles up Interstate 25, iced coffee in the cup holder, Slack pings stacking up faster than traffic. The alert said my credentials pulled our entire prospect universe, names, notes, and pricing tiers. If that leak is real, the renewal dies, and so does my career. Then security sensed something stranger. My badge showed an entry swipe at 6:50 a.m., well before dawn and long before I left my driveway. The system also showed the elevator hit our floor without a stop. By the time I parked, a guard waved me past the bagel station. Lena waited in the glass conference room with a printed audit log, my name highlighted twice. Cole leaned on a chair, arms crossed, like he was already practicing disappointment. Val set a recorder on the table, policy perfect. One question for the comments: would you ask for a lawyer or walk in alone? I took a steady breath, opened the conference room door, and froze when I saw whose laptop was already unlocked on the table. The laptop's screen glowed with a spreadsheet of client accounts, and the cursor blinked right where the data export had been queued. My name sat at the top of the screen, my account, my login. But the chair in front of the laptop was empty. Lena's voice cut through the tension. "We need to know why you were here before sunrise and why you pulled this file." She tapped the printed log. "This is serious." I swallowed hard. I wasn't here. My badge may show it, but I was asleep at home. I didn't even leave until 7:30. Cole tilted his head, his tone smooth but sharp. "Convenient. Especially with the renewal on the line. If those files slipped outside, our client won't just walk, they'll run. Who else would want to sabotage this deal?" I wanted to snap back, but Val's calm, measured words landed first. "Let's stay factual. The system says your badge opened the building. The file came from your login. Either you did it, or someone is impersonating you." The room went quiet. Lena's eyes narrowed, calculating the fallout. Cole smirked like he'd already placed his bet. I realized if someone could mimic my badge and my credentials, they had inside help. And whoever it was wanted me buried. That's when the guard from the lobby knocked on the door, holding something in his hand that made Lena's jaw tighten. The guard stepped in, holding a thin plastic card inside a clear evidence sleeve. "Found this near the lobby trash cans," he said. "It's a duplicate badge, same coding as yours." I leaned forward, my stomach dropping. The numbers matched my ID sequence exactly. Someone had cloned my access. Lena pinched the bridge of her nose. "If this gets out, our compliance rating tanks. No client will touch us." She glanced at me. "And you're still responsible until we know more." Cole, of course, seized the moment. If a project manager's credentials are this easy to steal, what does that say about how they handle sensitive files? His words were smooth, but his eyes gleamed. He wanted me gone. Val asked the guard, "Do we have camera footage near the lobby bins?" He shook his head. "That camera's been down for weeks. Still waiting on parts." I sat there, trying to breathe evenly, while Lena whispered something sharp to herself about budgets and bad timing. Cole leaned back, smiling faintly. "Looks like someone's setting you up, buddy. But hey, maybe it's just coincidence your login got used." It was too neat, too perfect. Someone was orchestrating this. And then, as the guard turned to leave, he added a detail that made my blood run cold. "Funny thing is, I saw someone in the building at 6 this morning. And it wasn't you." Every head in the room snapped toward the guard. Val straightened, pen poised over her notebook. "Who did you see?" she asked. The guard hesitated, clearly aware of the weight of his words. "Tall guy, maybe 6 foot. Dark blazer. Didn't stop to sign the visitor log. He headed straight for your floor." Cole chuckled softly. "Plenty of tall guys around here. That's hardly evidence." But I noticed how his jaw flexed before he smoothed his expression. Lena wasn't laughing. "If someone accessed our floor without proper credentials, that's a breach." She looked at me. "And yet, somehow, your badge still swiped." I forced myself to speak evenly. "That means whoever this was had both a fake badge and my login. That's not random. That's someone with inside knowledge." Val nodded, her face serious. "Which narrows the list. Badges don't get cloned without help. She paused. I'll escalate to IT security. In the meantime, we'll need to lock down your credentials and pull badge scan reports for the past month. Cole leaned forward, his voice a shade too casual. And if those reports show a pattern? Maybe our friend here has been moonlighting without telling us. The implication hung heavy. I clenched my fists under the table, but before I could respond, Val's phone buzzed with a new notification, one that made her eyes widen. Val's phone lit the room with a pale glow. She read silently, then raised her eyes. IT just forwarded something. At 3 a.m., an email went out from your account with an attachment, the same client export file. My chest tightened. That's impossible. My laptop was at home, shut down. I wasn't even awake. Lena's voice sharpened. Do you understand the gravity? That email could violate our entire non-disclosure agreement. We could be facing fines in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. Cole tilted his head, smirking faintly. Unless, of course, he had a reason. Maybe lining up a little side hustle. Competitors pay big money for lists like that. I gritted my teeth but held my tongue. Val cut in before I exploded. Let's slow down. IT security will trace the login location. If it didn't come from his home network, we'll know. Still, the damage was done. My name was tied to a midnight breach and an illegal export. And judging by Lena's pale expression, she was calculating whether sacrificing me would save the company. The worst part? My phone buzzed with a new Slack notification. Coworkers were already whispering. Someone was feeding the fire. One question for the comments: if your reputation was under attack at work, would you stay silent or go public with your defense? Then Val leaned closer to her screen and said something that changed the entire room's mood. The email wasn't sent from his home. It came from inside this building. Val projected the IT log onto the conference room screen. A map of logins appeared, with timestamps pinned like tiny red dots. My stomach flipped. The 3 a.m. login had originated from our own office servers. See here? Val pointed. It's a local IP address, routed through our internal network. Whoever sent this email was physically inside the building. Lena exhaled sharply, pacing near the whiteboard. So it's not just negligence. It's sabotage. Her tone made it clear, she wanted a name, and soon. Cole crossed his arms. Interesting. If someone else was in here, why does it only trace back to him? He jabbed a thumb at me. Maybe he came in, did the job, then doubled back home to pretend nothing happened. I spoke through clenched teeth. That doesn't explain the duplicate badge in the trash or the guard seeing someone else at 6. Val held up a hand. Both points stand. We'll need to cross-reference entry times with workstation logins. She typed quickly, the keys loud in the tense silence. The result appeared, 2 logins under my name, only minutes apart, one from my home laptop, which had auto-updated around 3:15, and another from a desktop inside the building at nearly the same time. 2 logins. Same account. Same moment. Lena turned, her eyes sharp. Which means someone here is ghosting your credentials. The question is, who? Val zoomed in on the data. This isn't just a stolen password. Someone cloned his entire profile. Same credentials, same permissions, like a shadow account. My skin prickled. So they're pretending to be me. Whoever did this knew enough to bypass multi-factor authentication. That's not just luck. Lena's voice carried a razor edge. Then we're talking about an insider with privileged access. Maybe someone from IT. Cole scoffed. Or maybe he set it up himself. Who else would benefit from hiding behind a ghost account? He leaned back, too casual, but I saw the flicker of worry in his eyes. Val didn't miss it either. Only a handful of people have the keys to create ghost profiles. If it's not him, then it's someone close to the systems. She paused. And I'll remind you, Cole, that sales teams often request elevated access during big renewals. Cole's smirk faltered. Don't twist this. I don't even know how to code. But Lena pressed. You don't have to code to hire someone who can. You just need motivation. The room thickened with silence, every tick of the clock louder than the last. Val looked between us, then lowered her voice. We'll audit to approve the last set of elevated permissions. And when the first name appeared on the list, I felt the floor tilt beneath me. On the screen, a single approval stood out in bold, Cole Patterson, Senior Account Executive. Cole's face drained of color. That's a mistake. I don't approve IT requests. I don't even have clearance for that. Val's voice was steady. Yet the system shows your digital signature on an elevated access request, granting admin rights to his account. She nodded toward me. 2 weeks ago. Lena's eyes locked onto him. 2 weeks? That's exactly when the client started hinting about shopping around. You needed leverage. Cole bristled. Think, Lena. If I tank this renewal, I lose my bonus. Why would I sabotage myself? Val tapped her pen thoughtfully. Unless someone else used your approval credentials the same way they ghosted his. 2 targets. 1 game. The room fell into an uneasy hush. I caught Lena studying me, then Cole, then the logs again. The possibility that neither of us was safe hung heavy in the air. Meanwhile, my Slack kept buzzing, rumors spreading like wildfire. Colleagues were already speculating who'd be fired first. Val finally broke the silence. We need surveillance polls, workstation histories, and to know who last touched Cole's credentials. Because right now, both of you look compromised. One quick comment for you: if both employees are under suspicion, should the company suspend them immediately, or let them keep working while the truth comes out? Then the guard reappeared, holding a flash drive he said was found wedged under a desk in our office. The guard placed the flash drive on the conference table like it was evidence in a trial. Custodian found this during morning rounds, he said. Wedged under the workstation closest to the window. Lena's eyes narrowed. That's not a standard issue device. Who sits there? My stomach tightened. That was my backup station, the one I sometimes used when my laptop was tied up running reports. Cole jumped on it instantly. Well, that's convenient. A mysterious drive shows up under his desk? Maybe we don't need to keep looking. Val ignored him and carefully plugged the flash drive into a quarantined laptop. After a tense pause, dozens of files appeared on the screen, client data exports, dated over the past month. Each one stamped with my name. I felt my pulse hammering. Those aren't mine. I never touched that drive. Val's expression was unreadable. It looks like someone has been collecting files and planting them here. Lena slammed her palm against the table. If this leaks, our company folds. I don't care who's guilty, someone is paying for this. But before she could continue, Val leaned closer to the screen. Wait. These aren't just exports. Look at the metadata. Cole leaned in too, trying to hide his nerves. The metadata showed the files were copied from different machines across the floor, some of them never even assigned to me. Which meant whoever framed me wasn't just targeting me. They were pulling from everyone. Val's discovery shifted the air in the room. If these exports came from multiple machines, the perpetrator isn't sloppy, they're strategic. They want the trail to point directly at him. She looked at me with a trace of sympathy. Lena crossed her arms. Then we stopped playing defense. We set a trap. Cole raised an eyebrow. And how exactly do we bait someone who already has the keys? Val's eyes gleamed. We give them something irresistible. A staged file, fake client data with a hidden tracker. We'll place it on the same workstation where the flash drive was found. My voice steadied. If they access it, the tracker will log their device, location, and even keystrokes. We'll have proof. Cole leaned back, forcing a smirk. And if your phantom never bites? Lena shot him a sharp look. Then at least we'll know who's sweating when the bait shows up. Within the hour, ID planted the decoy file, a juicy spreadsheet labeled client_master_confidential. Anyone sniffing around would be tempted. I volunteered to stay late, claiming I had project work. Val arranged with security to monitor access logs in real time. Lena wanted results before the client caught wind of the rumors. By 7 p.m., the office floor was nearly empty. The decoy file sat there, glowing like bait in still water. And at exactly 8:32, Val's phone buzzed with a silent alert. The file had been opened. Val's phone lit up with the alert. She tapped the screen, her eyes narrowing. The decoy was accessed from Cole's workstation. Cole's face went pale. That's impossible. I didn't. Lena cut him off, pointing to the live tracking map. The system shows your login, from your desk, with a timestamp that matches our alert exactly. Every keystroke logged. Every folder opened. Cole stammered, trying to cover his panic with a laugh. Maybe it's a bug. Something glitched. Val shook her head. No glitches here. And look at this, clipboard history shows he copied the fake spreadsheet to a hidden drive. Then he tried to wipe traces by logging in as you. She gestured toward me. Your credentials were used to mask the theft. I felt the tension in the room snap. Lena's voice was cold, surgical. Cole, you just sabotaged an employee, risked millions, and violated every policy we have. Pack your things. Security will escort you out. Cole's protests dissolved under the weight of the evidence. The guard appeared, motioning for him to follow, while Val saved copies of every log. I finally exhaled, my chest aching from the stress. The office felt quieter without Cole looming over the renewal, plotting his advantage. Yet, even as I settled into my chair, Lena's sharp voice reminded me, this isn't over until HR files the report and the audit closes. And I realized the next few days would be all about watching who else might have noticed, because someone might try the same trick again. With Cole escorted out, the office slowly returned to its usual rhythm, though the tension lingered like a shadow over the desks. Val worked through the night, double-checking logs and resetting all clone credentials. Lena drafted a memo to the executive team, carefully framing the incident as a contained security breach. I sat at my desk, finally alone, reflecting on how fragile trust can be in a corporate environment. Emails that once felt routine now carried weight. Every badge swipe, every Slack message, every login could have been manipulated. Val dropped by my desk, holding a folder of final reports. "You weren't at fault," she said. "It was methodical, planned, and yes, personal. The ghost account, the cloned badge, it all pointed to someone with motive and opportunity." Lena appeared a few minutes later, surprisingly soft. "Your handling of this situation saved the company from a real disaster. You stayed calm, asked questions, and trusted evidence over assumptions." I nodded slowly, feeling both relief and lingering wariness. Cole's schemes had been clever, but ultimately predictable. Karma, it seemed, had a way of catching up when greed overrode logic. As I watched colleagues return to their work, I realized the office's undercurrents hadn't vanished, they had just been exposed. And I knew I'd never underestimate the importance of internal security again. The moral was clear: in a workplace, shortcuts and manipulations rarely go unnoticed, and integrity often becomes the strongest shield. Who was wrong? Cole, for betraying trust, and anyone who would gamble others' livelihoods for personal gain. One final comment for you: how would you protect your reputation if someone tried framing you at work? The next morning, our office felt different. There were whispers, but they were mixed with cautious respect. Cole's absence was palpable, his corner desk sat empty, a subtle reminder of how quickly a career can unravel. Val had implemented tighter security protocols overnight: multi-factor authentication mandatory, restricted access to sensitive files, and random audits of elevated permissions. The IT team had also installed temporary cameras to cover blind spots and ensure no one could repeat Cole's ghost account stunt. Lena gathered the managers for a quick briefing. "Let this be a lesson. Trust is earned, and our systems are only as strong as the people who use them." Her gaze lingered on me, not accusing, but approving. It felt like validation for staying calm and methodical under pressure. I went to my desk, checked my badge, and swiped it with a quiet sense of ownership. Every click of the keyboard, every Slack message, every report I drafted now carried an extra layer of vigilance. Curiosity got the better of me, and I peeked at the audit logs for the past week. No anomalies. The ghost account had been deactivated, the cloned badge decommissioned. It was as if Cole had never existed, except, of course, in the cautionary tales my team would now share. Even as I settled into routine again, I knew the office dynamic had shifted. Eyes were sharper, conversations quieter, but there was also a renewed sense of accountability. And deep down, I felt a subtle, satisfying justice. Cole had gambled with everyone's trust, and the house had won. Weeks passed, and the renewal Cole had tried to manipulate went through smoothly. The client never knew how close they had been to a breach, and I got commendations from both Lena and Val for handling the crisis without panic. Office life returned to its normal rhythm, though the memory of the ghost account lingered like a cautionary tale. Co-workers occasionally whispered about how quickly things could go wrong and how essential it was to follow protocol. I found myself mentoring newer staff on security awareness, sharing insights without naming names, reminding them that vigilance is part of professional responsibility. Lena seemed more relaxed, but her eyes still carried the calculating edge, an unspoken reminder that trust is fragile. Val kept her calm demeanor, but I could tell she enjoyed watching systems finally catch the perpetrator, proof that evidence and procedure always matter more than assumptions. Even Cole's departure left a subtle mark. HR made it clear that no one who attempted such sabotage would be rehired, setting a precedent that rippled through the office. It wasn't vindictive, it was a structural lesson. I finally allowed myself a quiet moment at the window, watching traffic inch along the interstate and thinking about how chaos often reveals character. And while the office would always have challenges, I felt a renewed confidence in my ability to navigate them. logins, badges, and ghost accounts included. As I closed my laptop for the day, a thought crossed my mind: sometimes the quietest victories carry the loudest lessons. A month later, the audit closed, and the board sent a brief email recognizing the team's handling of the breach. Cole's schemes were documented, HR had finalized his termination, and his professional reputation was permanently tarnished. I finally felt the tension lift. Lena gave a rare, approving nod as I walked past her office. Val smiled, her usual calm intensity softened for a moment. The client renewal was intact, and internal systems had never been stronger. I realized the true lesson wasn't just about security, it was about observing, documenting, and trusting evidence over gossip. Integrity isn't always flashy, but in the long run, it protects you and your career. Looking back, the wrongdoer was obvious. Cole, motivated by greed and personal gain, underestimated both technology and the people around him. And the collateral lesson? Even the most subtle attempts at sabotage rarely go unnoticed. My team returned to routine, wiser and more cautious, while I carried the confidence of having faced a crisis and prevailed without losing my footing. The office felt safer, more transparent, and oddly closer, even after all the deception. So, if you're dealing with workplace politics, remember, patience, observation, and evidence always outmatch shortcuts and schemes. Karma has a way of catching up. Final comment for you: have you ever uncovered someone trying to sabotage your work, and how did you handle it?